and welcome to the Content Bite, a podcast for freelancers who use their words to make money. I'm Rachel Smith, a freelance journalist, copywriter, and content producer. I'm also the founder of Rachel's List, a jobs board and community for Australian writers and other creatives.
And I'm Lynn Testoni. I'm a journalist and a content writer as well. Rachel and I are your weekly co-hosts, and every week we're bringing you all kinds of tips, tricks, and some fabulous guests to help you make the most of your freelance business. This podcast is sponsored by our good friends at Rounded, easy accounting and invoicing software made just for Australian freelancers and sole traders. It's everything you need to make freelancing easier. Find out more at rounded.com.au.
Also, if you're a gold member of Rachel's List, Rounded is giving you 20% off an annual subscription plan. Upgrade to gold membership for all the details. Hi Lynn, hi everybody who's out there listening. Hope you're all well this fine, lovely day.
I know there's sunshine for the first time in like, it seems like ages.
Although it'll be gone soon. It'll be gone soon.
Yes. But it's just us today, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But we've had a couple of awesome guests lately. We had Joanna Leggett's episode last week about when it's time to leave freelancing to return to the 9 to 5. And that has had heaps of impact and feedback.
Yeah, it has.
I think it was a lot of food for thought there for a lot of freelancers at the moment.
I think so too. And it's always good to sort of sit down and think about why you're doing what you're doing. And, I love it. I could never go back to the office, but I know that a lot of people go in and out. Yeah,
definitely. That is a good episode. If you've missed it, we would recommend, revisiting it. Yes. So what are we doing today? We're
talking about side hustles. I think you actually have a little side hustle. It's not really a side hustle anymore though, is it?
I know. I do have a little side hustle. It's called Rachel's List. You might have heard of it.
Maybe.
No, I don't, it's right. When is a side hustle no longer a side hustle? I think, well, obviously Rachel's List has been going for so long now and it is a bona fide business and it hires other people and makes money. But I still call it my side hustle. I just affectionately refer to it like that because I juggle it with my freelance work. It hasn't taken over like so many side hustles do. And we're going to talk about that, aren't we?
We are.
I think the definition is a side hustle is no longer a side hustle when it starts to make you money.
I think that's true. And I guess then there's a question about whether to keep it as a side income earner or as your main focus. Because one of the things, you don't have to turn everything into a money-making exercise. Mm-hmm. Sometimes if you just sewing quilts, just enjoy that. You don't have to make money out of it. Or if you just do, if you paint or do something creative, sometimes it can just be for the process. It doesn't have to be a side hustle. Maybe you sell the odd painting, but sometimes it's just for your soul. And I think that's important too.
My mom makes the most beautiful blankets, and I have tried for years and years to get her to do an Etsy store because her blankets are amazing and they're huge and colourful and people love them and she just gives them away, and she said it's the only I need to do something with my hands while I'm watching TV. But I always think she's got so many and why don't you just take orders and, but she doesn't want to do it. So you're right.
She just loves it.
Yeah, that's right.
I guess the question is how much is the side income? How much is your main focus? What about Rachel's List?
Yeah, okay. Well, obviously, if we're going to talk about the types of side hustles, jobs boards are one way. Like that's a side hustle idea that a lot of people out there have tried. We know quite a few. I think Freelance Gems, there's the Freelance Jungle, they have Jungle Jobs. There's obviously Kate Toon's copywriting jobs board and her community. There was also, the Freelance Collective, which sadly has recently shut, but that was another one for freelancers. So yeah, I think that it is definitely an option for a side hustle, but I would just warn that it is a lot of work and it's not a lot of money in the beginning. It's actually not a lot of money now. and I think you also need a really decent following. Like when I actually monetized Rachel's List, I had about 800 or 1,000 people on a list that were really keen on it being monetized and grown. So, and I had very good word of mouth, which I still do. So I think you need that for longevity. And it can work if you've got all those things in place, but it's not a side hustle if you have limited time or you're not really committed to it in the long haul.
I think there's some really good points there, because I do think that you need some sort of following and some sort of engaged audience to make a side hustle successful in a financial sense. We can return to those larger scalable side hustles in a minute. We can back up a sec and just talk about the smaller ones that you might do to consider if you're just a freelancer who needs some extra income, or you want to mitigate your risk, so it's not just about writing or photography or something.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously two sides to this, because we're obviously talking to freelancers who are creative freelancers. So a lot of you out there might be writers, copywriters, journalists, social media people, designers, and you might have a passion that's completely separate to your creative work. You know, I know freelancers who started dog walking businesses or Etsy stores like we were just talking about. And I also have a really good freelancer friend who's an absolute legendary graphic designer, and she decided to Airbnb her apartment because she was living in a cabin in Kangaroo Valley.
As you do.
Yeah, so she had an apartment in Kirribilli and she had these beautiful cabins in Kangaroo Valley. And she Airbnb'd her apartment, it went off, and then she started Airbnb'ing the cabins. So now she's got this huge Airbnb business that comprises properties in both places. And that is her main focus now, while she still does graphic design on the side.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, that sort of reminds me, because I have actually occasionally hired out my house for film and TV ads.
Yeah.
It can be a nice little earner. I think the house was used for Netflix. They shot something here earlier this year, and that's sort of like, it was $2,000 for half a day. So that can be quite successful, especially if you're located in the city like me. Although I do know that sometimes some houses are used as locations in the country, depending where you are. I mean, I'm sure if you had a nice place in Byron, that would do very well. They're shooting a lot up there.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, so those are sort of little side hustle ideas that you can do if you have an asset or something that you can sort of leverage. But what about side hustles where you're using your skills in a different way, but it's separate to your main gig, which might be writing?
Well, I know a few writers who've created a course that's really helpful. Like if you've got a particular niche or skill or particular expertise. I know like John Burford, he's been on the podcast a few times. He teaches at uni and he finds that quite good. I know a friend of mine who's a ceramicist, she often teaches at TAFE every now and again. She doesn't do it all the time, but if it's a bit quiet, she might do a term or two at TAFE. And that sometimes is a really good way. And also sometimes in an interesting way, teaching often helps you be better at your own work. It gives you a fresh perspective. You tend to have to catch up on all the latest trends and thinking about a subject. And that's quite good to give you sort of impetus back into your career as well.
That is so true. I think that a lot of the side hustles that we see start around education. So, you know, so many freelancers have become really smart about, you know, monetizing their knowledge, for want of a better word or a better phrase. I mean, there's Kirsty Fanton. She's a launch copywriter, but she runs Brain Camp, which is a copywriting boot camp. And she also does these paid webinars. She's a really interesting one because her webinars often focus not on copywriting, but on specific business processes that she's nailed. And she's decided, well, I could teach that to someone.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So she's done webinars on social proof, on how to gather social proof, and email marketing tagging, like where you tag your emails and send them in different directions, or how to create surveys that get results, which is a really big challenge.
Yeah.
And then she might link those webinars to paid products. So it's part of an overall strategy, and it's sort of related to what she does, but it's also really separate. So I think that's quite interesting.
Yes, well, we've spoken a lot on the podcast about Lindy Alexander. We've had Lindy on that thing, and she's the same. She's a writer. She became so successful, and she's got a really good blog which documents all that success, and that led to some coaching work, and now she's got a series of courses which she runs separate to her freelance writing work.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see that with copywriters specifically, don't we? They do that really successfully. They create resources, and then they create masterminds or communities with the aim of educating others while still taking on copywriting clients. I mean, Emma McMillan, who we've had on the podcast, she just started a copy coaching arm to her business, didn't she? And
yeah,
I think, do you know Jay Chris?
no, but
Yeah, she's fantastic. She's another copywriter who offers paid resources and courses on everything from like writing better emails to writing sales pages. And I think you can actually buy resources to teach yourself off her website as well.
all right, because I know these copywriters often run their own businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Like Belinda Weaver, also we've had on that podcast. So many good guests we've had.
Amazing, amazing guests. Thank you to all of them. You legends.
Legends. So Belinda has got great courses and online communities and resources. And both of us recently bought her copy deck.
Yes,
which is excellent, which I've used. And it sort of makes sense that when you've been working for a while, you perfect all these resources. And it seems a good way to monetize them. You spend a lot of time getting things like good briefing templates or forms or copy decks and turning them into something is really useful.
And maybe it is like a kind of a mindset thing. They think, well, you know, I've really done everything I wanted to do in that aspect, and now I want to turn my knowledge into helping others. Like Kate Toon is a perfect example of that. And Belinda and Kate, they co-hosted the Copy podcast, which is one I used to listen to religiously.
Yeah,
sadly is no more. But I think Kate used to service copywriting clients. I don't know if she does anymore. But the main focus of her business is helping others with their business and creating resources around supporting those members. So they're examples of copywriters who have created the side hustle, but then it's become that main focus.
Exactly. I know quite a few people who sell some of their assets, and I don't know if you call it a side hustle, but one of the things I do, which people have asked, and I guess I've monetized it, I often present workshops or presentations, often on media related topics, or, you know, I've done a couple for you, Rach, on things like pricing and how to get good clients. And I've done things for different community members on pitching to the media, how to get in print, all that sort of stuff. And I get paid for those. And that's sort of separate from my own income. And it's just a nice little side hustle, I guess, that I do. And I quite enjoy it.
Yeah. Who else is really big on the speaking circuit? Is it Emma Lavelle?
She does quite a lot.
A lot of speaking and a lot of emceeing and things like that. I think she loves it, but it's another aspect to her business, which is personal branding. So yeah, there's lots of different ways that you can sort of monetize, you know, your skills, isn't it? And if you're doing something like that, where you're presenting things, you're also building your own profile. So it helps your main gig, your main business.
Yeah, exactly. It's important to know that all these things, particularly assets like courses and downloadables and ebooks and everything, they take a lot of work to get up and running.
Yes.
But then once they're up, they're usually not much to maintain. You know, you might have to refresh them or update them occasionally. But so the main thing is there's a lot of money or time invested at the beginning, but then they become this lovely passive income stream. And I think that's quite good. I mean, people find that with books a lot, and I think that's something worth thinking about. But they do require a lot of time up front.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you were thinking about like creating a resource to sell, you mentioned books. I think you could create a tool, like if you're really techie and you could create a tool that fulfills a gap in the market, that could be something to think about. Or you could write an ebook and self-publish it, which I think has been hugely successful for Sarah Townsend, who is also on the podcast. Hi, Sarah, if you're listening. Yes. She wrote Survival Skills for Freelancers, and that went absolutely bananas. But she was the master at marketing that, getting it out there, getting testimonials, and really driving sales for that.
And you had a great masterclass on self-publishing too recently, didn't you?
Yes, we do. It's with Anna Featherstone. I'm a bit biased, obviously, but it is the most brilliant masterclass for anyone who wants to be spoon-fed, you know, all those bits and pieces to do with self-publishing and get sort of a rounded picture of how to do it. And that masterclass also, it kind of was the springboard a little bit to a book that Anna just published, which is doing so well for her. It's called Look, It's Your Book. And that goes really deeper into the whole self-publishing journey. So it's definitely something to think about if you're thinking about an ebook and you want to share your knowledge and make extra income that way.
Wow. There's so many things. And I think having a side hustle, you have to think about whether you want to make money or whether you just want to monetize something that you actually enjoy doing. And it may not be a big money spinner, but it, you know, it helps. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So many ideas.
So many ideas. And we'll actually pop links to all the people that we've mentioned into the show notes so you can check them out and check out what they do.
Yeah, fantastic. Wow, that's it. A nice short one this week. So thanks for listening, everyone. And a special thanks to Rounded, who are our lovely sponsors and help us put this out and continue to communicate and connect with people. So Rounded is a great financial tool for freelancers, rounded.com.au.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.